Welcome back to Celebrial. If you're new here, hit subscribe, because we don't just report the moment, we read the move behind the moment. And listen, we all remember where we were when the music stopped. Not because the beat dropped, not because a surprise album appeared, not because Nicki Minaj walked out in some headline-grabbing outfit. No, because the so-called queen of rap stepped onto a stage in Phoenix and did something way more dangerous than a diss track. She stood beside the leaders of a movement she used to mock, and she publicly praised the same political power she once treated like a punchline. And in one single moment, she didn't just divide her fan base. She sent a message to the culture, a message to the industry, a message to the men who've spent years treating hip-hop like their private kingdom.
How did your persona come about?
I don't know. When I first started rapping, I felt like I had to be someone. You know, like everybody was telling me, oh, be this way. You from Queens, be hard and like that. But that wasn't really me, and that's not who I wanted to be. And, you know, when I changed, like, the people who were around me, I just started being free. And I was like, you know what? I've always been animated. I've always been crazy. You know, I studied theater. I want to put that into my...
She went to LaGuardia High School, by the way, the same theater high school that Lourdes, Madonna's daughter, was going.
And that message sounded like, the rules you built, I'm not playing by them anymore. Now, if you think this is just a celebrity meltdown, a mid-career swerve, or a desperate grab for relevance, you're missing what makes this hit so hard. Because while the world is busy fighting in the comments about politics, Nicki is doing what she has always done best, turning chaos into leverage. Nicki understands something most artists never learn. Controversy isn't just noise, it's a weapon. It's a spotlight you can aim. It's a switch you can flip. And the past few days have proven one thing loud and clear. The void isn't ignoring her. The void is screaming back.
Weirdo. I don't get no what you got in your head, that neural link. You'll never outthink me. Ever.
This isn't scandal. This is a declaration. And the first casualty is the myth that certain thrones in hip-hop are untouchable. Because when Nicki moves like this, it doesn't just shake pop culture. It shakes power. It forces people to choose sides. It forces media to cover her whether they like her or not. It forces the industry to react. And reaction is where cracks start showing. And then, right on cue, you see the usual suspects circling.
Y'all, Nicki Minaj is back on X, and she's coming for Jay-Z. So in a series of tweets, Nicki Minaj is claiming that Jay-Z owes her 100 to 200 million so far.
Because not long after her conservative turn started going viral, posts started spreading claiming 50 Cent reposted her rant with a caption that basically read like a wink. I like when she get mad. And those 5 words, people treated them like a signal flare. Because if anybody knows what Nicki looks like when she feels cornered, when she feels disrespected, when she decides she's not playing nice anymore, it's 50. And 50's never been the type to post something just because. He posts to poke. He posts to pressure. He posts to remind you who's really enjoying the chaos.
I want you to think about this. Allegedly, Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyoncé.
Which is why people are whispering this isn't random at all. It's alignment. It's positioning. It's 2 chaos architects watching the industry sweat and letting everyone know they're not afraid to kick the door open if the moment is right. So the real question isn't, why would Nicki do this? The real question is, who is she trying to bait into moving next? And now Nicki is straight up framing this as Hav orchestrating her downfall, from the title payout dispute to the Super Bowl snub talk. And what started as industry drama is turning into something bigger.
Nicki Minaj, she went on another Twitter rant, and she still got Jay-Z and Roc Nation in every tweet. She be wilding on them. I ain't gonna lie, I ain't never seen nobody come at Jay-Z this hard.
Because in Nicki's version, this isn't about petty beef. It's about survival. She's alleging Jay-Z offered her only $1 million from a deal she claims was worth hundreds of millions, while he allegedly pocketed the rest. And whether you believe her numbers or not, the real impact is what that accusation represents. She's calling the entire system rigged, and she's saying she's done playing nice. Then you rewind to when she first started firing these shots online, not as a vague subtweet, but as a loud public warning. She wasn't just mad. She was making it look like pay what you owe is a debt, a principle, and a battle.
Just competitive energy.
Competitiveness. All right, so you and Diddy, you and Puff cool?
No, I don't really rock with him
okay,
like that.
damn. All right, I didn't know what that meant.
Okay.
All right, okay.
And she didn't stop there. She framed it like she'd take whatever she got and pour it back into her fans, talking education and empowerment. That's not just philanthropy. That's optics. That's positioning herself as the artist fighting the gatekeepers. And here's the pattern people keep pointing at: the timing. Because all of this talk ramps up right after she also blasted Jay-Z over Super Bowl halftime decisions, especially the Lil Wayne angle, accusing him of moving off ego and denying someone a major moment. So connect the dots. Money dispute plus stage control plus public callouts.
Know how they play. Okay, you know what? We got to get the heat off of him. Some people figured it out. Some people that's in the industry, they know what's going on.
And suddenly it doesn't sound like Nicki complaining about a check. It sounds like Nicki declaring war on who gets to decide who wins in hip-hop. And then there's the Desiree Perez factor. Roc Nation's CEO has been one of Nicki's biggest targets for years, with Nicki accusing her of blackballing and even blaming her for personal fallout. And here's the twist that made people raise an eyebrow. Perez was pardoned by Trump in 2021.
Lil Wayne and sort of the things he's gotten into, the random things, run-ins with the law, whatever he's had over the last few years, would not be typical of the brand.
And Nicki herself pointed at that fact later with a cryptic, "Thank you for your cooperation" type of energy. So when Nicki suddenly starts praising the same man who pardoned her alleged industry nemesis, the question writes itself. Is this real politics, or is this strategy? Because Nicki doesn't move without a reason. And right now, it's looking like she's playing the long game. And then we have the elephant in the room, 50 Cent. His reaction to Nicki's conservative pivot isn't reading like a casual cosign. It's reading like alignment.
Jay?
Yeah.
At this point? I would want, why?
He's backed her publicly before. And every time she swings at Jay-Z, 50 has a habit of boosting the noise. So when he reposts her rants with that "I like when she get mad" energy, people aren't seeing a joke. They're seeing a signal. Like, this isn't just Nicki versus Jay-Z. It's insiders versus the old guard. And the boardroom is starting to look like a battlefield. And that's what makes this pivot feel calculated.
Nicki was tweeting a lot. One was denying a young black man what he rightfully put into this game for no other reason.
Because Nicki has called out institutions before. She's spoken about how systems target certain artists while protecting the executives behind the curtain. So when she starts warming up to drain the swamp rhetoric, people are asking, is she looking for protection? Or stacking ammunition? Then you've got the Super Bowl factor. Nicki's anger over Lil Wayne being passed over didn't read like simple loyalty. It read like a challenge to power.
We do have some breaking news that we want to bring to you. It was being reported by TMZ and now Fox News. We are learning that Jay-Z is accused of a 13-year-old girl. That is new in the Diddy lawsuit.
Because Roc Nation has had major influence over the NFL halftime show decisions. And when Nicki implies Wayne was punished because of who he's connected to, she's not just venting. She's pointing at a gatekeeping machine. And once you frame it like that, it stops being about Wayne. It becomes about who controls the biggest stages and who gets shut out when they don't play the game. Now follow the money, because while everyone's focused on politics, the real story might be what's happening quietly behind the scenes. The chatter is that Nicki's been talking to lawyers, not only about the payout dispute, but about the way the whole Roc Nation system operates. And if there's one thing people always say about Jay-Z's empire, it's that it runs on contracts, the kind of paperwork that decides who eats and who gets shorted. So when Nicki starts talking about karmic debt and settling up, she's not just asking for a check. She's hinting that she's ready to shake the whole table. Because what really threatens a mogul isn't a diss track. It's paperwork. It's lawyers. It's subpoenas. And that's why the biggest question is, what's next? If Nicki is truly coming for Roc Nation, she's not just fighting Jay-Z. She's fighting a machine full of executives, attorneys, accountants, and relationships that run deep in entertainment. But here's the part that changes the temperature. She's not moving alone. While everyone's distracted by the political pivot, she's quietly building alignment. And with 50 Cent boosting the chaos, the message is clear. The old guard isn't as untouchable as it used to be. So when Nicki stands there and acts like she's not backing down, she's not just speaking to fans. She's warning the industry. And if the last week proved anything, it's that the game is shifting. Now the only question is, who's still standing when the dust settles? Because here's the point. Nicki didn't just wake up and randomly praise Trump. She didn't suddenly start calling out Jay-Z after years of tension. And she definitely didn't accidentally align with 50 Cent. This reads like a calculated move. And if hip-hop history has taught us anything, from the biggest feuds to the biggest fallouts, the real battles aren't won in the booth. They're won in the boardroom, the courtroom, and the court of public opinion. So when Nicki steps out and signals she's done playing by the old rules, we should believe her, because she's acting like she's here to change the rules. And the timing makes it hit harder. Her pivot is landing while the industry is already on edge. Scandals, documentaries, legal chatter, and reputations cracking all over the place. That's why people aren't calling this random. They're calling it strategy. So now the only question is, when the dust settles, who's still standing? Because this doesn't feel like just a feud. It feels like the start of a reckoning. And if you thought Nicki's money feud with Jay-Z was explosive, the real fight isn't even about dollars. It's about the power structure that's kept certain artists in check for years, and the woman people say helps enforce it. Desiree Perez. In the way fans frame it, Perez isn't just the CEO. She's the enforcer, the fixer, the one who allegedly makes problems disappear or makes them appear. And if Nicki is trying to destabilize an empire, the strategy isn't just to swing at the king. It's to pressure the people who keep the whole machine running. Which is why Perez is now being pulled into the crosshairs. And the biggest detail people keep circling back to is the pardon. Trump granted clemency to Perez for a 1994 drug-related conviction right before leaving office in January 2021. That's public record. But what the internet does next is where it turns into a thriller. Because conspiracy corners claim that pardon didn't happen for nothing. They suggest it ties back to alleged cooperation with federal authorities. And if that were ever true, it would be a loaded accusation in hip-hop culture, where loyalty is everything and snitching is the ultimate sin. So the question people keep whispering is simple. What did she allegedly give up to stay free? And who would that information hurt if it ever came out? And that's when things get weaponized. Because people online don't just talk about Desiree Perez as an executive, they talk about her like a power broker. And that's why Diore Perez's legal situation became gasoline. In 2023, Diore sued, accusing her mother of orchestrating an involuntary psychiatric hold and using influence to have her committed. The case was later dismissed, but the headline alone was enough to stick. And when Nicki started amplifying it, she didn't treat it like family drama. She treated it like a glimpse into a bigger playbook, silencing dissent, controlling narratives, making problems disappear. That's why fans keep saying this isn't a normal feud anymore. It's a public challenge to how the machine allegedly operates. Then add the other rumors people keep attaching to Roc Nation, claims from past disputes and employee chatter that get framed as questionable practices, settlements, NDAs, and quiet exits. Whether proven or not, the internet uses those stories to build one conclusion. Nicki's not just mad about a payout. She's acting like she's exposing a system. One post, one interview, one stage moment at a time. Now let's connect this to Megan Thee Stallion, because in Nicki's mind, that feud was never just artist versus artist. She's framed it like Megan was the latest pawn in a bigger industry machine, a distraction, while the power structure tightened its grip. And when fans look back at the timeline, they swear they see the pattern. Megan rising fast with major playlist placement, major brand deals, major momentum, while Nicki's side claims her own releases were getting buried or treated differently. So when Nicki finally snapped and fired back publicly, the backlash hit immediately, because you're not only fighting the artist, you're fighting the system behind the artist. And that mindset leads straight into the Super Bowl conversation. Because if there's one arena that proves influence goes beyond music, it's the NFL halftime show. Roc Nation's involvement has been treated like more than booking. People see it as narrative control. So when Lil Wayne was passed over for Kendrick, Nicki didn't read it as a simple creative choice. She read it as gatekeeping, and she tied it to a bigger history of who gets elevated, who gets silenced, and who pays the price for not playing along. So whether you agree with her or not, the message she's pushing is clear. This isn't about one snub. It's about who controls the biggest stages. And she's done going quietly. But here's where it gets even more interesting. While Nicki's been swinging at Jay-Z and Desiree Perez publicly, she's also building a different kind of leverage, the kind that doesn't rely on old industry rules. That's where 50 Cent comes in. People aren't reading their energy as mutual enemies. They're reading it as access and amplification, because 50 knows how to turn controversy into a campaign. And if Nicki is really aiming at Roc Nation as a system, she'll need more than tweets. She'll need pressure, platforms, and a narrative that sticks. Which brings up the federal angle fans keep whispering about. If the allegations around contracts, blacklisting, or financial behavior were ever taken seriously in a legal way, this wouldn't be bad press. It could become a real investigation. And once money trails get followed, they don't stop at one name. And then there's the biggest red flag in the room, Jay-Z's silence. No big statement, no direct denial, no public clapback, nothing. And in hip-hop, silence at the top doesn't read like peace. It reads like strategy. Or it reads like they don't want anyone asking more questions. Because the more Nicki talks, the more people dig. And once people start digging, it gets harder to keep the lid on anything. But there's another possibility, and it's the one that's way more dangerous. What if Jay-Z isn't ignoring Nicki? What if he's waiting? Because Hav doesn't really do panic. He does timing, he does leverage, he adapts. And if Nicki thinks she's the only one playing chess, she might be underestimating who she's poking. And zoom out for a second. This isn't just about Nicki. It's about every artist who's ever felt trapped by contracts, sidelined for speaking out, or watched money disappear behind corporate language. Nicki is framing this like a fight for artist power, artists over executives. And if that narrative catches, it doesn't just embarrass a brand, it changes the industry. But if she loses, the music business has a long history of making examples out of people who step out of line. So here's the bomb hiding in plain sight. Nicki isn't moving like just a rapper anymore. She's moving like a whistleblower. And once that fuse is lit, it can spread fast. More voices, more digging, more pressure. Because even kings can fall if enough people start pulling on the same thread. Now I want to hear from you. Is Nicki the underdog calling out a corrupt system? Or is she playing a game that could blow back on her hard? Is Desiree Perez's past the key? Or is this all smoke and mirrors? And if Jay-Z does strike back, what's his next move? Drop your theories in the comments because this story is far from over. And you already know the next twist could hit any minute. If you want real-time updates, smash like, share this video, and subscribe to Celebrial with notifications on so you don't miss what happens next. Stay tuned, stay sharp, and as always, keep it locked right here, where the truth is always louder than the lies.